What would happen if you took Baldur's Gate 3, put it in a room with a cute, fertile, breedable roguelike, and let the magic happen? Well, besides a pretty gross analogy, you'd get this awesome mod, the Trials of Tav, a mod that turns Baldur's Gate 3 from a story-focused, narrative-driven game into a combat-based roguelike. But quick question. What's a roguelike? Well, folks that don't know, namely my mother and my girlfriend, a roguelike can be many things, but at its core, it usually consists of a few characteristics. A combat/challenge element where you gain either currency or experience, and a purchasing/leveling system that allows you to get stronger through increasing stats or improving equipment. I think the only roguelike I've actually played myself is a game called Wizard of Legend. I never ended up beating it, but that game is really fun and cool. Before we get into it, I know this video is called I Turned Baldur's Gate 3 into a roguelike, but I didn't do anything. I Turned X into Y game is just kind of a series I do, but all the credit for this mod goes to these folks listed on screen. And then of course, one last thing, you've gotta subscribe. I've gotta, you ask annoyedly? Yes, it's my birthday. You gotta. And if you don't, then you're gonna poop your pants on your next birthday. So, I feel like the choice is pretty simple. Anyways, this here is my tiefling sorcerer, Dumper. Pretty simple name for a very intimidating man. As far as difficulty goes, I selected Tactician, but if my whole squad dies, then I'm just gonna restart, so it's basically honor mode. And enemies have legendary actions, so now that I think about it, it is literally just honor mode. I had to make a guardian still, and even though we'll never see him, I made Ganondorf. I call him that because when I was a kid, I used to call Gandalf Ganondorf because I was mixing his name up with Ganondorf. Silly kids. The game started in the Nautiloid, and I was a little worried that I'd messed up the mod somehow, but after getting out of the pod, a pop-up popped up. I hit start, and it took me to the beach. What's going on? Oh, okay, never mind. We're in camp now. So this little screen here explains the game mode really well. You go through rounds of battles, each fight usually containing multiple rounds, and the more fights you win, the higher your rogue score gets, and the more currency you earn. The higher your rogue score, though, the more difficult the fights get. So how do I know when the game is over? Well, once you get to a rogue score of 300 and save up 2,000 currency, you can unlock New Game Plus, which is gonna be my final goal. To start your battle, you leave camp and you're teleported to a random location. My first fight was in the Underdark, and my opponent was a necromancer. I hit him with a ray of frost, and then he... Oh, son of a bitch. Okay, so now we all know how it works. Let's get started on our real first try. Yeah. Okay, me versus the Necromancer again, and this time I didn't hold back. I dropped him with some magic missiles, and oh, sweet, that's it. I was rewarded with an ironwood club for my victory and went back to camp. I dove straight into the next fight against a magma mephit and a badger. I hit the mephit, he damn near killed me for it, and then I used the good old magic missiles again. I healed, ran to buy time, and then had a fairly lucky back and forth with the badger. Got a couple rewards this time, but nothing too special. I have quickly learned that a sorcerer is a pretty terrible solo class, so I changed up to be a monk instead. I had a thought though, where are my companions? Then Withers smacked me in the head and reminded me that I can just pay dead people to be my friends. I recruited, Madala Deadeye, and made her look a little more, my type. I forgot to change her name though, so instead of calling her Madala, I'm just calling her Maddie. I really liked having a life domain cleric in my honor mode playthroughs. Check out that video sometime, so I respect her. Maddie and I got into fight numero 3, and this time it was in the goblin camp. The enemies were a hyena, a shadow creeper, and an imp. I was really glad I had an ally and a better class this time because the early game gets real tough even when the enemies themselves aren't especially difficult. I burned the branch, beat the dog, and stuffed the imp. We won that battle, of course, but I wanted another hard hitter on my side, so I created Oleg, the half-orc paladin. I literally just this second, while reading the script, realized that Oleg is from Elden Ring. I knew the name sounded familiar, I couldn't place it. The next fight was in Ethel's Swamp, and it was the first time we've had to deal with more than one wave of enemies. Neither wave was all that strong, but it was a sign of what's to come. That brought us to level 3 though, so we're on a good track. Because it automatically takes you back to camp after a few seconds of the fight fight ending, I didn't get to pick up the loot I won, which was a lesson learned. Don't level up until you're back at camp. We were in the Underdark for the 5th battle, and I've gotta say, fighting without extra attack, an ability some classes get at level 5, is miserable. It was only one wave though, and it went very smoothly. And I finally got a great piece of loot, the Hell Dusk armor, which you'd normally get from defeating Raphael in Act 3, a very late game reward. This armor is super good because normally a monk wouldn't be proficient with heavy armor, but the Hell Dusk armor has a passive that automatically makes the wearer efficient with it. I then looked around the shop a little bit and saw I could buy the Pixie Blessing. This made it obvious to me that we will end up in the Shadow-Cursed lands at some point, and I bought it so that I wouldn't have a huge disadvantage later. I finally took a long rest, no sleeping animation, which is good for gameplay but bad for editing, and then got back to work. The 6th fight is where I developed a little routine. At the start of just about every battle, you get 1 round to yourself to do whatever you want. During that time, I would have Maddie cast Bless on us, and then Oleg would use Sacred Weapon, a class ability that makes his melee attacks more effective. When we started throwing hands, it was a bit of a slog. The enemies were so spread out that I had to keep chasing them down, but I took my time and got the win. I had 1 more slot to be filled in my party, and that slot went to Urza. Yes, like Urza from Fairy Tail. I know she doesn't look that much like Urza, but like Oleg, I just like the name. She's a fighter, and I gave her the Battle Master subclass, the best, in my opinion, of the 3. So, let me keep it real. We are about an hour through the first game recording. Decent time, right? No, there is, spoiler alert, 15 more hours to talk about. So if it's all the same to you, I'm gonna pick up the pace a bit. Fight 7 was one big wave which got absolutely demolished. Oleg got the Hellgloom gloves, which he'll be using for the foreseeable future. I respect myself into a rogue, which is silly because I always forget that they don't get extra attack, so I'll inevitably have to change my class again. Fight 8 was a much tougher fight than any so far, and also forced me to hunt down this shadow bastard that got glitched and just kept hiding from me. I finally remembered I don't like being a rogue and switched to a ranger this time, which will stick for much longer. I read through the store a little bit to better familiarize myself with the options available and saw that I could just buy XP. Fuck yeah, I want XP. I bought some and that took me straight to level 4. For feats, I upgraded my dex, I gave Oleg the Tough feat, gave Urza the Savage Attacker feat, and chose the Spell Sniper feat for Maddie, which gave her the Eldritch Blast cantrip. I also had seen that in the shop you can just buy loot. I tried it out, and though what I got was, as the kids would say, dog water, it was cool to know I could do that. We ended up in Baal's Temple for Fight 9. It's Baal, not balls. And after a delayed start, I made good use of the terrain this time around and won without much sweat. I didn't even look at my loot before Fight 10. Hey, we're in the double digits. It got straight to work. It was yet another single wave, and they got destroyed. I healed, and once again jumped right back into the fray. Fight 11 took place in the Shadow-Cursed lands, and you can bet I was singing my own praises for getting that Pixie Blessing earlier. This battle started off terribly, when a Flaming Fist hit us with a double volley that put the whole team on the ropes. Thankfully, I've got a healer, and we bounced back. Also thankful that there was only one wave. What I didn't realize, though, is that when you kill something here, it immediately revives due to the Shadow Curse with half of its maximum HP. Yet another good lesson learned. Still, though, with some shoving and shooting, we pulled the dub out here too. I bought everyone another round of XP after that mess, and we finally hit that glorious level 5. The level that gives hair to the chest of men and, I don't want to say anything gross about girls. My female viewer base is higher than ever, and I already said that whole fertile and breedable thing earlier. Big ol' bolded and italicized anyways, I got some more loot and managed to pick up the Titan String Bow, a weapon that I think is highly underutilized by the player base at large. Back to battling, number 12 was in the Shadow-Cursed lands again, this time right on top of the Toll House roof. This one was an absolute breeze, and at the end, I got something called a perfect clear. I think that means I get 10 points added to my rogue score instead of 5, but the real reward was the Gloves of Soul Catching I picked up. I didn't know it at the time, but these were going to be a big deal later. Fight 13 was yet another easy win for the gang. I bought the last round of XP available. I didn't realize there was a limit, honestly. Fight 14 was interesting because the enemies were so spaced out, and I also realized there's a pick up all button in the console that lets you get loot that's scattered around the map. And at the end of a battle, you can just use the button to pick up all the stuff you want. Fight 15, 16, and 17 were not all all too notable. 17 did level me up once again though, and we're now halfway to the max level. Fight 18 ended up kind of being a joke, honestly, but fight 19 had a weird glitch happen. Maddie placed a fire glyph where the enemies were gonna spawn, and when they, an ox, did appear, it died right away. This broke the mod for a second, and nothing else happened after that. I eventually just went back to camp, only to find that my rogue score had been lowered for what I can only assume was the game thinking I ran away. Bummer, but no mod is perfect. Fight, I guess we'll call it 20, was fairly easy, though Oleg got banged up pretty good. And then 21 and 22 went so well that I don't really have anything interesting to say about them. Don't worry folks, we are getting to the good ones, I promise. I did decide to respec Urza to be a monk, and that may have been the best decision anyone has ever made. With the Helldusk armor, gloves of soul catching, the short bow of hill giant strength, which automatically puts you at 19 strength, and the tavern brawler feat, she was going to be an absolute monster. Fight 23 was the first fight where I had to break a sweat. We were getting enemies that could really hold their own. Well, I mean, they didn't hold forever, but you get what I'm saying. 23 would shit its pants if it saw 24 though, because back in the Shadow-Cursed lands, I finally found a fight worth stopping to talk about. Round 1 is an absolute cakewalk, a hyena and some Sharan dude. Because they're far away and I want to hold my ground in this room, I don't even do anything on my first turn. Kinda silly, but shouldn't be an issue, right? Then the game decides it's time for me to be butt pumped and spawns in a Steel Watcher, 2 different Flaming Fist, a Mind Flayer, a Goblin, and a Kobold. Keep in mind that I didn't long rest before this fight because things had been going so well, I just kind of assumed I wouldn't need to. My whole party got straight to work on that Steel Watcher. Maddie just barely did enough damage to get it to self-destruct, which was super lucky, but that didn't pull us out of the fire yet. We still had a bunch of people to deal with and we didn't hurt any of them on that turn. My luck kept up though when they all had pretty terrible turns, but I damn near dirtied my jorts when the Steel Watchers stood back up. I kinda just assumed a robot would be immune to the Shadow Curse, but hey, magic is magical after all. Urza and I put it back on Suicide Watch. Oleg blew himself up to hurt the Mind Flayer, then Maddie blew up Oleg to kill the Mind Flayer. This stupid wizard bitch pushed Urza into the blast zone, and with the power of the indomitable human tiefling half-orc, I think one of the ladies is an elf, spirit, we killed the rest of our opposition. We did hit level 7 for our troubles though, and that made fight 25 not as bad as it could have been. Fight 26 started off as a joke, but then came the punchline with a Hellfire Watcher. I freaked it out though, and killed it before it got the chance to do anything. As you may be able to tell though, those really easy fights from earlier are now mostly a thing of the past. That being said, fight 27, while long, went pretty well. Well, enough for us to get to level 8. Now, as many of you have noticed, I haven't bought anything in a while, and that's because I've been saving my currency up to buy this, the Unlock Multipliers perk. After I buy this, I'll be able to buy multipliers that give me double XP, more loot, and more currency. With this perk and 161 rogue score, I would love to say that we are about halfway through this challenge. I'd love to, but I can't. I mentioned earlier that we've got roughly 16 hours of footage to get through, and we currently are 3 hours in. Holy balls. And I mean testicles this time, not the murder god. Okay, you know what? Let's try something new. I'm gonna try to get through some more fights as fast as possible, but from here on out, I'm gonna give each battle a difficulty rating. Somewhere between 1 and 10, or I guess 1 and D10. Right, guys? Yeah, I'm going. Fight 28's only real challenge came in the form of a lava elemental, so I'd give it a 4. Fight 29 was probably the most fun I had this entire time because I was just pushing people off the roof, but as far as difficulty goes, it was only about a 5. I bought the double XP perk after that one, but got right back to fighting. Fight 30 was longer than 29 and only a little tougher, so I'd give it a 6 for this one. I also bought the loot and currency bonuses after that one. Yurgir showed up on 31, which was kind of unexpected, but he got absolutely bodied. And even though Maddie got killed, I still can really only give this one a 5. After every fight now, I have to go through my inventory and see what I got because there's just way too much loot. And we're at level 9 now, by the way. Fight 32 was the first fight in this speed round where the squad was taking a serious beating, bringing its difficulty rating, or as I will now be calling it, DR, to a 6. Here's what it looks like when I get loot, by the way.
Swift as my feet can carry me.
Yeah, it only gets worse every round. I bought a little dex for myself, which puts my strength at 20 and my dex at 19, which are some pretty solid stats. Fight 33 had a Death Knight, a Death Shepherd, and a bunch of other dudes in it, which made this whole thing take forever. Honestly, I want to give it a 10 just because it tested my patience so hard, but in all reality, it was a strong 7. When we got back to camp, I figured I might as well bump my dex to 20. Back in the same location as my first ever battle for Fight 34, I was much more successful this time around, and I'd give this encounter a 5. We're level 10 now, and I forgot to mention it, but I'm multi-classing into Rogue to help improve my Archer build. Fight 35 was weirdly easy. Like, I'm talking a DR of like 3. That trend would stop for a while right there and then, because Fight 36 was fucked. Take a look at this opening lineup, and guess which idiot didn't long rest again? Yup. To make things worse, I also got dominated and fucked over my homies. I guess I bullied the Steel Watcher enough for him to start blowing his load though. Would you call that cyberbullying? I mean, he's a robot. Anyways, I got some more hits in, the Ogre was stupid and wasted its turn, and then we all went back and forth until I came out on top. Alright, guess we're going from easiest to hardest, because that's gotta be an 8 for me. Fight 37 started off pretty easy, just a few enemies that aren't that crazy, but of course I would pay for my comfort because in round 2, look who showed up. How the fuck is that fair? Well, I blinded him and then tried to focus on killing all the other enemies around so that they couldn't help him out too much. It was finally Answer's turn and he didn't do anything. Cool. I took full advantage of that and started picking off the strays. He actually didn't do anything at all until I attacked him. Then of course I got rocked, but hey, he took it real easy on me. Eventually it was just my team and him, and we basically took turns cheesing him, whether it was spawning clouds of daggers and then just letting turns go by so he'd take damage, or taking shots at him and running away. We eventually whittled down his health to nothing. I mean, that could have been an easy 10 if Answer pulled his weight, but he heard it was my birthday, so he let me slide with a 7, and enough XP to hit level 11. Fight 38 was way more chill, because we basically just kept throwing people into the water. It's a little cheesy, but I do enjoy these goofier rounds. Let's go with the, 2 for this one. And I guess Answer gave me a lot more XP than I realized, because look at that, straight to level 12. I gave Oleg a Most Bloody Inheritance, and also the ability to use the Slayer form, just in case my overconfidence gets us into a tight spot. There were some real tough cookies in Fight 39, but my use of the Slayer form and the Blade Barrier spell helped keep my enemies at bay, turning what could have been a disaster into a fair fight. Though Saravok did hit this nasty combo. What the fuck was that? I'll give this one a very strong 7. We've officially reached Fight 40, and the difficulty is all over the place. I melted this guy. Haha, get it? Lava Elemental? Yeah, it is. And then bullied Voss to win a 2 out of 10. I then wiped my butt with Fight 41, though I guess it was a little closer, so I'd give it a 3. In Fight 42, my toughest enemy was the game, because this ghost got glitched somehow and wouldn't do anything, and then when I ran past her, she did an attack of opportunity, and that made my character glitch out too, so I had to skip my character's turns for a while. Lame, but with basically 3 party members for that whole fight, I'll say it was like a 6. Then in Fight 43, we got back to real danger. A Moonlight Sliver made my life a waking hell for the entirety of this one, and honestly, if it hadn't been for the lava, it might not have ended in my favor at all. 8. Speaking of not ending in my favor, let's talk about Fight 44. Inside the Rosy Morn Monastery, I had my toughest fight yet. Let's look at this round 1 lineup, shall we? A Death's Head of Ball, a dangerous dude, a Flaming Fist who loves to do AoE damage, a Giant Eagle who can tank hits surprisingly well, a Kobold and some Goblins, not too tough, but they're extra bodies that are gonna take time to kill, a Gith Veteran Warrior who, due to the Ready to Parry ability, can be especially hard to hit, another, more armored, Flaming Fist, and then a very strong and durable Lava Elemental. Fucked up, right? Well, check out the round 2 reinforcements. See this guy? This is a Steel Watcher Titan. With this bastard on their side, we had absolutely no chance. But I still tried my damnedest anyways. For the first time though, I had to retreat and regroup. Urza ran off to get back to camp, and then the rest of my team tried to take as many heads as they could so that when we came back, we'd have less folks to go through. Oleg, very heroically, was the last one standing and kept the good fight alive. Urza revived myself and Maddie, and we ran back to help him out. With 3 of us at full power, we killed everyone besides the Titan, and then we were able to focus on him altogether. It was long, brutal, and some loser in my comments will tell me it doesn't count, but I brought him down. That was absolutely a 10 out of 10. Fight 45 wasn't quite able to follow up that last one, but hey, how could it? The enemies were spread out though, so it took a while, ending up being probably a 4 out of 5. 46 got right back to the bullshit because check it out, not just 1, but 2 Steel Watcher Titans. Great! I tried to do pretty much everything in my power to focus solely on those 2, but for some reason one of them was just really stupid and wasn't doing anything at all, so I dropped the first Titan and then killed everyone else and finished the fight by killing the dummy. It wasn't quite as bad as Fight 44, but 46 gets a solid 9. Oleg got a new weapon in Nyrolna, one of the all-around best weapons in the game, and with it, we battled the forces of Fight 47. The kicker in this one was the Bulette, but we low-key beat the dog shit out of it, and the rest of the enemies followed suit. 4 out of 10. Number 48 started off way too calmly, and I knew something bad was coming. And boy was I right, because an adamantine golem, Grim Jr., showed up. It was my highest priority to kill, because unlike the Steel Watcher Titan, who is mostly a defensive monster, Grim Jr. was dealing some fat damage to me and his allies. Oleg finished him off with a poke, and then the rest of the enemies, while still decently strong, weren't a match for my team. We're jumping up and down on the difficulty scale, but that one was an 8. Fight 49 also had a chill start, but got serious quickly when... Elminster? Dude, fuck that. Like the Moonlight Sliver earlier though, I had the map on my side, and the poor old man got trounced by some lava. I guess the game managed to take it easy on me once again, making that battle a clean 6 versus what could have easily been my end. Fight 50 was a big one. It wasn't exceptionally hard, mind you, because we were back on my favorite map, but there were a lot of enemies. But they're all swimming with the fishes now. I had a lot of fun on 50, but it was only a 3 on the difficulty side of things. The next fight, number 51, wasn't nearly as fun. Back in the Shadow-Cursed lands for the billionth time, I had some big boys try to come get me. From a Steel Watcher, to a Spectator, to even your gear who showed up and, well, I didn't do much, honestly. This wouldn't have been as rough without the Shadow Curse revival thing, but because I had to kill everyone 1.5 times, I'd put this one at a 7. Now, as you can probably tell from the time left in this video, we are rapidly approaching the end. I know, everyone wanted to see me reset, but I was damn determined to stop it from happening. The game, though, was determined to keep some shit in my pants, because skipping right to round 2 of Fight 52, look at how many enemies there are. It's too much. This fight took a ridiculous amount of time, and I had to play pretty smart, but I'm not letting an 8 out of 10 beat me. Fight 53 was another weirdly easy fight, and while it took kinda long because everyone was spread out, it was honestly no more than a 4. Fight 54 was much of the same. In fact, we barely got hit that time. I can't believe we're on 54 and I'm giving it a DR of 2. This mod is just so silly. 55 was a lot tougher though, taking place mostly inside the Blushing Mermaid. My enemies were positioned in ways that made it hard for me to do huge damage all at once. We got beat up pretty good, but like I said, I am not resetting, so we clutched up a 7 out of 10. Now be honest guys, are you a little disappointed at how easy some of the late game fights have been? Well, so was I. That was until Fight 56. This time I was up against Cazador Czar and a Death Knight in the same round. I demolished Cazador, which was a shock, but in round 3, a diva got thrown into the mix. They all had some serious beef with Urza and ended up knocking her out, which was terrifying because she is by far my hardest hitter. Oleg was more than carrying his weight though, and we were fighting our hearts out for the rest of this battle. It was another scrappy, ugly slobber knocker, but as we do, we prevailed. Whew, man, the game heard me getting comfortable and did not like that. But ladies and gentlemen, we are here. I have a rogue score of 299, and I've got enough currency saved up to unlock New Game Plus. So let's head together into the final battle. Fight 57. Inside the Chamber of Insight, we will face our last few waves of enemies. It started off pretty light, so I took the time to target the stronger of the enemies, the Air Elemental. Though Urza did run off and fuck this goblin up. Oleg took on his Slayer form and used it to tear up a Flaming Fist. The round 2 reinforcements were surprisingly tame, and the Elemental had a bad turn. I finished off another goblin, and Urza deleted this skeleton wizard guy. Maddie did some good damage with a cold glyph, and things were looking great. Oleg finished off that fist, and I braced myself for the coming wave, but it was just another diva. And while they are strong, they're not going to solo my team or anything. The elemental had another bad turn, and I put it out of its misery. Urza took a bite out of the diva, she's an ascended vampire by the way, and Maddie couldn't quite finish this kobold. We got hit with a nade, but we were still in pretty great shape. Oleg continued attacking the diva, and this time I knew a crazy wave was coming, but it didn't really. I mean, yeah, there were reinforcements, but like, barely. Urza killed the diva, the one real threat here, and then I got to messing up everyone else. There were 2 more waves to go though, and the next one gave them quite a bit of bodies. We were still barely scratched, and I assumed the worst was yet to come, and I was right, because here comes a badger. Yeah, no, that's it. The poor little guy got rocked, and then the rest of the enemies weren't really that tough. I guess that's it. And with a rogue score of 303, I bought the new Game Plus unlock, and then my game crashed. Man, I really couldn't have written a more anticlimactic ending if I tried. Well, folks, I did it. It was a really long and arduous challenge, but I did have a lot of fun. I feel like this whole thing made me a lot better at Baldur's Gate 3 combat. If you enjoyed watching, you should absolutely check out this mod for yourself. I'll link it in the description. Though, to be fair, patch 7 just came out while writing this script, so it might not be updated quite yet. Either way, thank you so much to the great people who made this mod, and thank you for watching this video. And if you are still here, do me a favor and just check if you're subscribed. I think a lot of people watch my videos and assume they're subscribed, but might not actually be. That's it though. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. GG's, everybody.